Very good. Today we're going to discuss a significant move that has happened at Google. The company has removed its Gemma model from AI Studio. To understand why, let's first recall what was possible on that platform. There we could access and test Google's models, including the Gemini family, small models that could run locally and usage examples in different languages. Among these models was Gemma, Google's open source line presented for developers and researchers. This point is very important. This family of models is lightweight and doesn't have Gemini's scope, designed for API integration rather than general consumer queries. In other words, it wasn't intended for public use. Google is now clarifying that Gemma wasn't meant to be a tool that responds to objective fact. According to the company itself, Gemma wasn't designed to provide factual assistance, but was oriented toward research and development. The trigger was political. The situation escalated after complaints in the US about responses that fabricated events, leading Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn to send a letter directly to Google's CEO expressing concern and outrage. Her accusation is that Gemma generates false and harmful content about her and other conservative movement figures. In that letter, the senator claimed AI had created narratives that never occurred, and that the technology failed to prevent malicious stories from being fabricated. Basically, what the Gemma model had generated were false accusations, serious false accusations, from people who hadn't made them. The model itself was simply hallucinating, creating accusations of abuse and other things that led to, for example, Robbie Starbuck filing a lawsuit. According to this perspective, this wouldn't be a simple technical error, but rather a pattern of falsehoods targeting conservative profiles. Or really, in my opinion, I think it is a technical error, because ultimately, as Google says, Gemma was designed for developers and not for public use, for very specific and limited applications, right? This issue reached a Senate committee where a Google representative, Markham Erickson, acknowledged that hallucinations are a known challenge they're still working to mitigate. Google has stated they're strengthening measures to reduce this problem, but the senator insists there is political bias and lack of oversight. Hours after the letter, the company posted a message saying people were using Gemma in AI Studio to ask for factual answers, despite that not being its intended design. According to this communication, that environment wasn't designed for such interactions, which is why they decided to remove Gemma. Several public explanations have emphasized that hallucination is an issue affecting all language models to varying degrees and isn't an isolated phenomenon. The practical difference is that larger models typically have more safeguards to prevent these cases from developing into serious situations. This has sparked debate about whether small models should be accessible for direct questions on sensitive topics when that wasn't their original purpose. The company has insisted that Gemma's purpose was to facilitate experiments, specific uses, and lightweight execution on systems with limited resources. That's why recent measures focus on preventing its use as a public conversational assistant. And yes, Gemma is actually a model you can run locally. In summary, Google removed Gemma from AI Studio after complaints about false narratives and baseless accusations against conservative political figures in the US. The decision doesn't eliminate the model, but changes its availability to limit its content. It will continue to exist, but can only be accessed via API rather than through the public-facing platform. According to Google, this emphasizes that its purpose wasn't to provide objective answers, but to be a tool for developers and researchers. Well, let me know what you think. But for me, it's pretty clear. I believe Google is right in this case. Obviously, all AI systems have hallucinations which will diminish as artificial intelligence continues to develop. So anyway, tell me your opinion.